what's up?
Evening, gentlemen.
That intro always gets me fired up, man.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I did some editing on it here about a week or so ago, but a lot of that I did with I was shooting on my camera, so I did a definite old school caveman style. So I had to go back and edit where you could see the sides of the TV. So,
Still looks good, man, and it fits well with the music too.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a tune that came with Power Director, so I'm all good copyright and everything. I've never had a problem with it.
Smart man.
So what's been happening? I see you guys pretty often. Actually, I just seen you Wednesday night, Eric, and seen Drake last night.
Yeah, well, I was on with you. We talked some Return of the Jedi with an American Werewolf in New Jersey, and that's it. You hit me up today about today's video, and I said, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, I was just kind of messing around and making that. And I thought, man, that'd be a cool conversation. Is she cinema's greatest mother? You know what I mean? That's the question. In my opinion, I've always said she is cinema's greatest mother. You know, the only one I've ever seen it would go the lengths she goes, willing to kill for her son, like I said a million times, and willing to die for her son, and does.
Absolutely.
So, what's your take on it, Drake? Me, you've been watching Friday 13th together for years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember the first time I saw it, I said it then. I was like, she is like the ultimate mom, man.
Oh yeah.
And
I seen this thing live at the theater. Well, no, at the theater when it was on there. I was 7 years old, and I still remember to this day the feeling I got from finding out. See, what separates it, the original Friday 13th from the others, is the fact that it's a mystery. You don't know who the killer is in the original one. You know what I mean? And you don't. And what's cool about it is you don't. So it's not one of those Jacques Cousteau or Agatha Christie type things where you see all the pictures. You don't see her at all until the end.
Yeah, what is it, like the last maybe 15 minutes? That's maybe 20 minutes is probably pushing it.
Yeah.
And what's great is it's Betsy Palmer's performance. You know what I mean?
She's
when
wonderful.
I mean, you watch the movie, you know something's up because this is a character we haven't seen for an hour. You know what I mean? Everything's gone to shit. And when she shows up, she's got a presence. And when she says, Alice tells her, "Don't go in there. They're all dead." And she says, "I'm not afraid." You realize that she's not afraid because she knows she's the one that did everything. And it's all in the way she talks.
She even gives that giggle. "Oh, I'm not afraid."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And even at 7 years old, I was sitting there going, that's creepy. She gives like one of the creepiest performances ever. And if you've seen Mother's Day, like Drake was talking about, she gives a great performance too. But there's just something about Palmer, man. She comes from the stage.
Old school.
She didn't even want to do the part, but she needed a new car. So she said, "Fuck it, I'll do it." Because she said, "This is crap. This is garbage."
That's one of my favorite. I'm sorry. That's one of my favorite stories. Because she used to never do conventions until like maybe the last handful of years before she passed away. Because she didn't realize. She said she didn't realize how popular her character was. So one of my favorite things, I think it's on the Blu-ray. It's at the convention. It's Adrian King and Savini's there and Cunningham. She's there and she's sitting right next to Victor Miller, who wrote the screenplay. And I love Victor Miller too. He's a fantastic interview. If you ever see him in interviews, he's a shoot the shit, doesn't care type of guy. So is Betsy. So they're sitting next to each other. And like you said, she needed the money and she's reading a script. She says it's right next to Victor. And she says, "Well, I was talking to my agent. I said, I'm not doing this. This movie's a piece of shit."
Exactly.
And they're both having a laugh, you know what I mean? Because Victor, he was just one of those, he's hired just to write a script type of thing. And they knew what it was. And Victor knew he was ripping off Halloween because that's what he was told to do. But they both knew what they were doing. And then they grew to appreciate it. And that's what I love about Betsy Palmer is she didn't want to do the movie. She thought it was a piece of garbage, but she still gave it her all.
Yeah. And, what's funny about it is she fully adopted it. By the time she died, she was immersed in it. you know. And that is a good point. She didn't want to do it, but regardless, I mean, she didn't come from a movie like Friday the 13th. In her day, there wasn't that type of thing. So when she seen this script, she was like, "What the hell is this?" You know what I mean? See, in chat we got stream article. There's my fiance. Hey, baby, how you doing? Thank you. Prism, as always, thank you so much for showing up again, man. Says hello, everyone. Prism saying hello to baby. Baby saying hello to Prism. All right, man. What's really cool about this is the first kill with Annie is she's not even waiting for her to get there to to be the cook. She's gonna take care of her before she even gets there, and then and then systematically she takes care of everybody. Why do you think she saves it and then actually takes the time to introduce herself and actually play that little bit of a game with Alice where she didn't with everybody else? What's your take on that, guys?
I'm wondering if she did that to give maybe Alice a false sense of security. You know what I mean? Because when she killed the cook, I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Annie would have survived, I guarantee you, if she didn't say I'm going to Camp Crystal Lake, because she was literally she probably just thought she was a hitchhiker. But that was the trigger. And because Pamela was on her way there anyways, you know what I mean? But I think she was giving Alice a false sense of security. It was kind of like a game of cat and mouse, you know what I mean? And she just wanted to maybe like a cat plays with its food. And I think that's what it was.
Because she didn't even play the game with Steve Christie, somebody that knew her.
Oh yeah, he was taken out right away.
She met him in the rain. He's like, "Oh hey, what are you doing here, Stab?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, what's your thoughts on this, Greg?
Yeah, definitely. When she picks up Annie and everything, and yeah, I agree. I don't think she would have done nothing to her until those words came out of her mouth of, "Hey, I'm heading to Camp Crystal." And then she goes ahead and does the business there. And later on, when she takes care of Christy, like he acted like he was seeing an old friend. You know, it's like they've been talking with each other for years after the fact.
They had. She knew him. She watched him grow up. She knew his parents that tried to do it before. You know what I mean? Well, go ahead.
I think that's why she took him out right away, because of his parents. If it wasn't for his parents, air quotes, this might have never happened. You know what I mean? If they hadn't owned the camp back in the 50s, Jason might have never drowned. And then basically the Christies are guilty no matter what generation it is. And that's why I think like once she saw him, it was right away. There's no time to play. You're gone.
Right. She plays with Alice at the end, I think, simply because she was the last one and she had to get it. My feeling is she had to get it off her shoulders. She had taken everybody out and she wanted to. It wasn't so much she was playing with Alice. I think she just had to get it off her shoulders. That, God damn it, why do they keep opening up this place when all this shit keeps happening? She had to get that. Finally, just had to tell somebody before she took her out.
That makes a lot of sense now that you say, because when she's standing in the doorway and she's hitting on the doorway and she just says, "Damn this place," you know what I mean?
Yeah, she needs to.
Yeah. Because no one knew it was her, you know, and she'd been doing it ever since the year after Jason drowned. Because the year after Jason drowned is when those two in the very beginning were killed, and then you heard about the 60s. There was fires, and then the poisoned water supply, or the water gone bad, however you want to explain it, type of thing. So, she's been doing this for decades.
So you think she's guilty of all that, the fires and everything?
Oh yeah. She doesn't want this camp open no matter what, because she doesn't want what happened to her to quite possibly happen to someone else's child. Which again, like I've said it before, this is why she is such a great villain, and Betsy Palmer said it herself. She's doing it, and the way her crazy brain is working, however you want to look at it, she's doing it and she believes she's doing it for the right reason. And that's what makes a great villain. Like I always go to Pamela Vorhees, and to a lesser extent, let's bring in the X-Men movies. Magneto. Magneto hates humans because of how he was growing up in the concentration camps and stuff like that. He sees what he's doing, as the right thing. Pamela sees what she's doing as the right thing. She will stop at nothing to keep this camp from opening. And if that means taking lives, then so be it.
Right, and that really does make for the best villains, because I mean, you can't. I mean, there's something to say for like a serial killer that does it just because just because they do it. But when you're talking about a story, like what I mean, a cinematic story, especially someone doing it for because I mean you can understand both sides, and you can look at so many different movies, so many different franchises over the years, and all the most interesting ones are the ones that's doing it. For some, I mean, it's like you can feel the reason. It's like there's a part of you that understands why.
Yeah.
And we're not mothers, but as a couple of us are fathers, and of course, Drake understands because he's close to me, and I'm his dad, and I'm not a mother, I'm a dad. I might do the same thing if that should happen.
We would
didn't have to happen.
You and me, we got kids. We would do anything for our kids. So we're not, air quotes, excusing it, but we can see her point of view. Yeah. We would die for our kids. So we see why she's doing it. She suffered the loss of a child. She doesn't want anyone else to possibly suffer the loss of a child because counselors are fucking around. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah. And again, that's what makes it great because again, I've read some of the comics, there's like prequel comics and stuff like that. And even Betsy herself says, because Betsy was old school. And she said she created like a backstory for Pamela. And in her mind, Pamela, Jason was born in the 40s. So she always figured young, unwed mother back in the 40s, if you're a single mom, dad's kicking you out of the house. So she was probably on the road taking care of Jason. Jason was her only source of family, the only thing that she loved and loved her back. And when she lost it, boom.
Yeah, because back then they even had homes, certain places that you send unwed mothers. I mean, it's like they were ostracized.
Exactly. What I mean? I hate to say it, but back in the 40s, unwed mothers, they're no matter what, doesn't matter whether it was forced or not. They're looked at as whores and looked down upon, and so I mean, you can just put two and two together with the timeline. She was not looked good. She was not looked upon very lightly from wherever she was from. I don't know if she's from Crystal Lake or not, but either way, she had a rough life when she was, impregnated. You can just tell.
Then on top of it, Jason had all the problems that he had, so she had a special needs child.
Exactly. So he needed, in her mind, extra protection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then
See, and I feel this because my first child, my daughter that passed away back in 1998, she was a special needs child. She was with hydrocephalus, Brandon Drake's older sister, and she died a month before she turned 3. But she had a lot of those problems, so I can kind of feel that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly. She wants to save people by killing people. You know what I mean?
That's how that mind works.
There's my niece, Val. Thanks for joining us, Val. Appreciate it. There's saying hello to Val. Best friends for the last 30 years. My fiance and my niece. That's how I met my fiance.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is something actually that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. This whole thing with her because it is so. It's the one Friday the 13th. That could happen. You know what I mean? It could definitely happen. There's nothing in this movie that's unrealistic, really. Some of the kills are a little extra brutal just for cinematic purposes. But this could happen.
Yeah, because like I said, she's definitely not all mentally there. Jason was her entire life, and when that's taken from you, you don't know the lengths what it'll do to you mentally, physically, emotionally.
Well,
and
I know what happens that 2 or 3 years with my daughter. That was really hard. I mean, me and Drake's mom had to learn how to take care of a special needs child. She couldn't eat. She had to have a feeding tube and everything. That takes a lot out of you all by itself. So on top of that, you're extra protective of that kid. And then somebody a lot, you know what I mean? So there's probably a sense of her deep inside that I should have been there to make sure. There's probably guilt on top of it.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing. You like I said, you imagine she was doing this all by herself. Like none of this is canon. This is us pulling out of thin air type of thing. But she's a single mom. She's taking care of a special needs child on her own. We don't even hear about the dad until like Jason goes to hell. You know what I mean? And that's just a name mentioned just to drop. So she's by herself taking care of Jason. Jason was like, what, 11 maybe when he died. So imagine that. And then, she was saying, she always says he should have been watched.
Yeah.
And I think that she always thought that she should have been the one watching him instead of cooking.
Yeah.
Because she knew for herself, because she kind of, in a lighthearted way, the way she says is, he wasn't a very good swimmer. Like, she's kind of smiling and, trying to play up on it, hiding the guilt with that, the way Betsy delivered that line. Like she could have said he couldn't fucking swim, throwing the language at the counselors, but instead she's just like, he wasn't a very good swimmer. She's hiding that guilt with the way she says it.
Yeah. And Jason's living inside of her. What I mean? What's your guys' thought of she's all the way to the point of developing a split personality, kind of a reverse Norman Bates kind of thing almost. You know what I mean? She's carrying him around. She's actually talking to him in her head, and he's actually there. I think it's by far one of the scariest things when she whips out that knife and she's coming and that every time that freaks me out.
Yeah,
that is so cool. Why do you think instead of setting why do you guys think instead of setting fires and doing the water and all that, why do you think she actually takes the time to she goes through and she wants to feel it hands on this time?
She's couldn't take it no more. She's couldn't take it no more. It finally got enough for her. Finally clicked and was just like, I'm going to do this. Yeah, she finally something clicked in her mind of, hey, I'm going to kill these people now. So
yeah, there's no fires, man. There's no poisoning. She wants to actually hands-on kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah, I think what it was is with the fires and the water supply, she did that before the camp opened and there was no one on the grounds. I think that's what it was.
So that was to deter. She didn't get to deter this time. They were already coming there.
I think that's
expecting it to happen.
Right. I think that's what it was because. What was it? Elias, the driver, I think he says it's like in the 60s or 70s. She said they were going to open it up again and the water had gone bad. And then it seemed like it was quiet because it's not like they're trying to open up the camp year after year after year. It's just whenever she catches wind. You know what I mean? Okay, they're going to do it again. I'll stop them. They're going to do it again. All right, I'll set the cabins on fire. Well, now
she was cool.
Christie's bought the camp from his parents. She's going to go straight there. And maybe now, if you think about it, the Christie family owns the camp. It's like cutting the head off a snake.
Yeah.
You kill the owner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So so it's like it's quiet for many years until Steve gets old enough, Steve Christie gets old enough, and then he decides he wants to. So all that time she probably thought she had knocked that out.
Yeah, and the fact is that the Christies are now involved again. Maybe she's like, okay, now I have to physically get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason she might have killed Annie first is because she was the cook and reminded her of when she was the cook and wasn't watching Jason. It could have triggered her. Was Pamela the cook there?
Yes, because when she's talking to Alice, she says, I was the cook. When she's giving the speech about he wasn't a very good swimmer. When she's doing that speech, she says, I was the cook.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about. I can't believe I forgot about that. But yeah, that not only struck, hey, I'm gonna keep her from getting there, and hey, I was gonna give you a ride because if you're going there, I'm gonna kill you. So you're doing what I did. So that double trigger.
Yep.
Wow. But boss is cooking and not watching the kids. Yeah, she was afraid. Yeah, anybody and everybody that went there, she was not gonna allow anything like that to happen.
Right.
You're not gonna cook there. You're not gonna do shit there. I'm gonna leave your ass in the woods. Or bring you with me. No, she can't. She brought her back and stuck her in the Jeep.
Yeah.
See, me and Drake are extra personal about Annie because I always hoped that Annie would last longer. I like that character. I like that girl. I always wish she'd have been the final girl.
She was such a sweetheart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She is just
in a different kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah, she was friends with everyone. She comes, she pets. You don't know if it's a stray dog or whatever. She comes, she cuddles it. She walks in. She's like the girl next door. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
She's your neighbor. She's one of those. Hey, she's the type of person you think you guys just moved into the neighborhood. She's the one that's bringing you cookies to welcome you, type of thing. She's that type of sweetheart. And I wish she would have lasted longer, but again, that
Yes.
proves that no one is safe. The one you
Yeah.
like the most is getting taken out right away.
Yeah, and
Pamela didn't care.
She was like
you know,
the unknown version of like Janet Leigh
Mm-hmm.
or Drew Barrymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Except, and it's funny, she's not known at all. And really still hasn't done anything yet. That character, in a way, is pretty damn big, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's well known and liked. I think everyone wishes she could have lasted a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, she kind of reminded me of the tomboy down the street.
Mm-hmm.
she does got a tomboy feel, doesn't she?
Yeah, the one that would kind of you can get into a wrestling match with the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd be out there on the football field with you, type of thing.
And
Oh,
kicking
yeah.
you the whole time too. Yeah, she'd show you up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think Pamela was like when she was younger and she worked there? I mean, the way Steve Christie comes off toward her is really friendly.
Like I said, we're all creating our own backstory of her because it's really a mystery. We didn't even learn her name until part 4. You know what I mean? She's just Mrs. Voorhees until we see the tombstone in part 4.
True.
But I always figured, let's just say she's going from like halfway house to halfway house. She got a baby, and maybe the Christies took her in, and I think they were the family that she never had, type of thing. I think she was very quiet, very self-reserved, very protective of Jason. The only one she maybe did anything with was with Steve Christie's parents.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was. I just think she was also very antisocial because she was probably overprotective of Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason's only interaction with kids was at the camp. She probably homeschooled him because of his physical deformities. We don't know if he was mentally challenged or anything. We really don't know that. People just assume. But I think she was just very quiet and self-reserved, and I think she liked and respected Steve's parents, the Christies. But then once it happened, she lost and she blamed the whole family.
Right.
But I think she was probably just a sweet, reserved, quiet person until it all happened.
Yeah. It doesn't really think about Steve Christie's parents either, except for that they relentlessly kept trying to open up his place. Mm-hmm. Finally said fuck it, and then he took the rest of Steve. Basically, took the rest of ways made it sound. Took the rest of the family money and put it into this. And it was probably he probably thought about doing that from a young age. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder how long it had been since he had seen Mrs. Voorhees. I think she lives around there close because he didn't come off like, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. It was more like, hey, what are you doing out here in the rain?
Yeah, he recognized her. And if you think about it, she obviously she wasn't working for Camp Crystal Lake after Jason drowned. And Jason drowned in 57. Okay, well, this is 1979, 1980. It's that many years, and you're going to age regardless. I'm sure in the rain, and it's pitch black. All he got is a flashlight. He was able to recognize her. He probably saw her around town, but she probably kept to herself. She was probably, the crazy lady type of thing. You know what I mean? The town crazy, or whatever you want to say. Stories about her.
Because I come from a bigger city, and now I live in a smaller town, and I know how much different it is. Like when we came here, we were looked at like aliens years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can just imagine, because they definitely know everything. Small town, they know if you're taking shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's just the way it is. Gretchen says, "Cute dog, Drake."
Yeah, that's Trixie. But the way he says hi. Yeah, the way he said hi to her is like they like go out on weekends together at the bar maybe and have like a drink together type thing,
Well, I was thinking it more like he sees her, he knows who she is. He's seen her maybe a little bit more when he was younger, but now he sees her a little bit more in passing in and out of the local convenience store or whatever. laundromat. You know what I mean? That's sort of the way I took it. He definitely knows her, and it hasn't been a long time since he's seen her. He just wondered what the hell she's doing running around out in the rain.
Oh, it makes you wonder. Excuse me. It makes you wonder. Because like you said, small town. You say one thing, and then you hear about it within 2 days. So she could have heard about the camp opening. Maybe she bumps into him at the diner. Oh, there she is at Kmart with him. Just happens to walk by, type of thing. So she's probably watching him, and these accidental interactions, out in public, type of thing.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Or maybe she's low key sort of on him. They listen, because it's not just coincidence that she catches these openings every time they open. She's obviously in the background listening to his conversations with people about, oh, hey, I'm about to open this up soon. That's how she knew.
Right.
So she's stalking him, or she just happens to be around when he says it, type thing.
I wonder if Jason was even supposed to be swimming like that. Like if his mom was there, if she'd have been watching, would he have been doing that? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't tell us exactly how special needs he is. We know he looks kind of fucked up.
Right. That's what I mean. I mean, just because I hate to say it, just because he's deformed, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean mentally there's any type of handicap. He could have just been born physically different. Because even Tom Savini himself just said he saw a person who was hydrocephalic. Yeah. You're not necessarily always, I hate to say, you're not mentally challenged.
Right.
When you're born with that, it could just be a physical thing. They never once, to my knowledge, have said Jason was mentally challenged. Because obviously he's smart. Even before he's, air quotes, zombie Jason, he knows how to kill. He knows how to hunt. He knows how to lay traps. So he has, the wherewithal in his mind to know what's going on. So I think Jason was just coddled because of how physically different he was. And remember, if this is the 40s and 50s, they're definitely going to pick on the kid who looks different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was about.
And he definitely has smarts, man, because, from the time, she obviously, that's the only thing that's not explained. She obviously doesn't know that he's still alive, or she does. But you know what I mean? But if she doesn't, he raised himself all the way from there, all the way to an adult, you know what I mean? Out there in the woods. So he's obviously got some smarts.
Yeah, he'd have to be to learn what to eat, what not to eat. And if you think about it, go by what he let's just say he he obviously didn't drown. Okay, let's just go with that because of part 2. He's very fast. He's still pretty damn strong, so he knew how to take care of his body as well. So that's the thing. He lived like a hunter, so he had to. He knew what to do.
A place to live. Build himself a little hovel. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Also, he knows how to shoot arrows, and he knows how to rig up some shit.
Well, then again, Jason maybe was a normal little boy, and she was just one of those mothers that pushes kids off the swing so her son can swing it, if you know him. But yeah, we know he physically. We just don't know about the mentally. Phil's in chat saying, hey there, horse fan. Hey Phil, thanks for coming by. See. Well, Val, we definitely know he had physical deformities, Prism says. We're saying hello to Phil. Hi, Gretchen. Val says, yeah, but physically deformity doesn't necessarily mean mental handicap. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're saying. I had another point, but I don't remember. What were you saying, Drake?
On the way I think he got in the water, like maybe he can't swim. He just can't swim. I think he got bullied out to that pier by a couple of the kids at the camp, and they pushed him to bully and pick on him, and they just didn't realize he couldn't swim, and they were just afraid, and they were afraid of getting in trouble for it, so they just didn't say nothing.
That's possible, but my take on it is this: is if we go by what Pamela says, and again, you got to take what she says, with a grain of salt, because she's not all mentally there right now with the grief and then just basically being insane. Right. She said Two counselors were having sex. He wasn't a very good swimmer. So my take on it, let's just say Jason was, she was overprotective of Jason. And she coddled him a lot. Don't do this, don't do that. You'll get hurt. What if, okay, this is Jason. No one's around. I'm going to go swimming.
He sneaks up there.
And that's why Pamela also takes it so personal. I think this is my chance to go swimming. I want to try something new.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because again, we just see, her interpretation of it when he's, yelling for mom and everything in the background. But if you take that for what it is, you can tell he's far away from the dock. Yeah. So I think he probably, as a kid, I'm excited. I can go. He probably jumped into the water. No, obviously no life preserver. No one was watching him. And then he realized, oh shit, I can't swim.
Yeah.
And he was screaming for help. And because no one was paying attention to him, Pamela or the counselors themselves, that's what happened. I think that's what it was. I think he was like, because he's 11 years old, I think, when he drowns. That's the time when he's like, because my daughter's 10. She's now at that point, Dad, you don't have to walk me to school. You can get me across the parking lot, but you know what? I'm going to go the rest of the way. They want the independence. You know what I mean? So I think Jason want to be like, I'm going to be the big boy. I want to do this myself. You know what I mean?
I think he looks, mom's not here. The counselors are busy. Here's my chance. That's exactly the way that I took it too. Yeah. He hadn't done it before because mom had always, but that was the one time that mom got busy, had to do something else, and she wasn't able to watch. And that one time she wasn't able to watch, the counselors allowed him to drown. You know what I mean? So and that would piss you off and drive you crazy. Damn, the one time I'm not able to watch you people let him drown. You know what I mean?
It's just like it's like there's been times like hey, can you watch my kid for a second? And then boom, they got a bloody nose. You know what I mean?
It's like how in the heck
type. You know what I mean? It's that kind of situation, and then you're just like, well, it's your fault, but then you're like, well, I shouldn't have trusted this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or somehow scraping their forehead on something or something. It's like, I let you guys.
Any little thing, you're protective, and your kid already has problems. Any little thing that someone allows to happen to him, he's going to piss you off, and you're going to blame them, of course.
Yep.
I think it's funny. Going back to Betsy Palmer, and when she was when she was getting the role, she almost went at this like a mother would, because if you've seen the documentaries and you know what I mean, and the big long one, she talks about where John Savini showed her. She seen a picture, and she was like, "Well, who's this?" And he's like, "That's your son." And she's like, "Well, what's wrong with it?" So I mean, she was digging into it and really checking it out. So she went, even though she thought it was a piece of shit, I think she might have changed her mind a little bit then. As she read into it and learned a little more, she got more and more and more interested in it.
Well, like I said, that's her being an old school stage actress. She wanted to make this her character. And that's what I loved about her, because I said it in my video today, is she was old school. When she was fighting Alice, Adrienne King, she was really slapping the shit out of her.
Well, yeah,
because on stage, if you're slapping someone, you got to slap somebody so loud that people in the back row can hear it. So she was really roughing up Adrienne King, and Cunningham had to say, Betsy, calm the fuck down, because that's just how she did her craft. Yes. And then so that just makes you realize that she did these backstories. She looked into the character to make it more believable. In this over the top movie, she still made her character realistic.
Yeah, you gotta love the old school method actors. You really do. What are you saying, Drake?
Yeah, because I remember the documentary. I just watched this documentary earlier, and I do believe what he said was you're not on stage. We can put a sound effect of a slap in there. You don't have to actually knock our lights out. The people on the other side of the screen are going to hear it.
Yeah. She had done films. She had done movies, but it had been a long time. And I do believe Al Pacino and a few others have had the same issue happen. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Claude Rains in the Invisible Man. He didn't understand. He didn't know how to hit his marks and everything. He was doing it like he was on stage. He didn't know how to hit his marks and turn. He didn't realize you got to play to the camera. He was doing it like he was playing the stage. You know what I mean? And they had to work him into it. So yeah.
But that also, I mean, that helped her physicality too. Like I said, when she's slamming Adrian King's face into the sand, you hear the thump, you see the impression into the ground. Like she was going all at it, and that helped show the rage of this character, in my opinion. And you think about it, this character is in her 60s, 70s. You know what I mean? And she's still holding her own against a woman half her age.
She's the old ass, man.
And she was so good. Like I love one of my favorite scenes of her, no dialogue. It's when Alice is stuck. She's hiding inside like the food pantry.
Exactly.
And she cuts open, and then she looks at her and she smiles, and then she unlocks the door. That is fantastic. She could have said, something like, here's Johnny, something like, but no, she just smiles like, gotcha, I'm here. Where are you gonna go?
Yeah,
because you're
like
locked in here with me now.
She's in there, but once she sees that she is, she's like,
yeah, because she looks the one.
Yeah.
And then when she comes back and scans over and finds her, she's just like,
yeah. The only thing that saves Alice, man, is a miscalculation. The fact that she was half her age, a little younger, maybe had a little bit more steam, a little bit more wind left, and she just catches her. And that look on her face when she's like, she realizes that's it, man.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think, love that look. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think Pamela was still knocked a little dazed from that cast iron skillet she took to the head earlier.
Oh God, anybody would. Man. And you hear that thump when she gets hit right in the head with that thing.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, she's one tough bitch because she's going after Alice with she's got a concussion,
right?
And she's still going after her and holding her own. And Alice, honestly, she just got lucky. She literally got lucky.
Yep. She happened to get the step on her. The machete was closer to her. She snatched it. She ended up rolling over here. She snatched it, and that was it. Whoever got to hold that machete last was going to win.
Yep.
Because that's the exact scene that I was getting ready to talk about, Eric. When she's in the pantry and she busts a hole up and looks in and grits. It's exactly the one that I was getting ready to talk about.
It's chilling, man. Just just the way she is. Like I said, she's kind of playing with her food now.
Yeah.
This is now a game to her. She's like, and the thing is, like, okay, I open the door. I'm gonna get you. You have nowhere to go because you just locked yourself in here with me.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't guessed
that. The initial when she clicks the sheath to allow the knife to come out, she clicks the little clasp there, and she goes, and she'll look what you did to him. It's like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when the cast iron skillet came to play. She was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, they say that the crazy are a little stronger, you know what I mean, and they can take the extra punishment because they're just not, you know what I mean, they're just not on level with everybody else.
And she's got all that adrenaline too.
Yeah. I mean, you mix the two, and the fact that she's determined and obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
A determined crazy person can accomplish a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Echo's in the chat. What's up, Echo?
Hey.
I can say hello to everybody. Thanks for coming by. But yeah, man, I love this conversation. This is something I could talk about almost every day with family. That part 2 is my favorite because of Amy Steele, but part 1 is really close.
Yeah, I don't like ranking movies. It's so hard for me because I'll rank one thing Monday, by Wednesday it's different. You know what I mean? But one thing I can say, the original is always in my top 5, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's mainly, a lot of people love it because of the mystery, because of the kills. The main reason I love this is for like the final act with Pamela Vorhees because she's so. How else when was the last time you thought you would say that a mid-60s to 70-year-old woman is intimidating and scary? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you believe it with Betsy Palmer's performance.
Yeah. It doesn't happen often, but when it does and it's done correctly, yeah. Prism said, I never thought about the connection of the machete with Pamela and Jason. Kind of ironic. The weapon that killed his mom, he kills people with. And there could be something to that.
Mm-hmm. It's quite possible that is the reason why he uses it the most.
But maybe the machete that he starts out with, as a matter of fact, in part 2, he may have had that all the time because it looks rusted and worn. You know what I mean? Like it's been used.
Because you think about it, she lops off her head. Alice cuts off her head, and then she just drops it on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes into the canoe and everything, and then the cops are out there and they said we there's no boy, so that means they found nothing but the bodies. So that machete's gone.
Right.
So if and the story is Jason saw it happen. He grabbed that machete and he went off into the woods and kept it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on it, Drake? What you getting ready to say?
Exactly what Eric just said.
Yeah.
Exactly what Eric just said. He stole my point. It's cool.
Sorry, dude.
Oh,
You're good, man. But,
yeah.
but no, like,
Echo says, give her a big ass blade and she will be scary. Well, hell yeah, exactly. Especially when you put that craziness. I can believe the first thing, like I said a million times, the first thing you see from this woman, she's being all nice. What is it she says where she starts getting a little shitty, and all of a sudden she smiles and goes, "That's in part 2," when she was like, "Jason,
Mother is talking to you."
What is it?
She said, "No." She said, "Well, that's because that's Ginny, Amy Steele, pretending to be her. So that's not really." Right. So,
right.
But what I like is it's Sean Cunningham is so good with the way he films her, like when she's talking to Jason, and she's got a smile on her face. Kill her, mommy. Her voice is higher, and then she says, "Don't let her live," and then suddenly, "I won't." She goes from that high pitch to "I won't." She deepens her voice and she gets menacing looking.
Yeah.
So that's great.
She to me is far scarier than Jason.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I don't care if it's the indestructible zombie Jason. That is a hell of a lot more scary, man. Because
more. Go ahead.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say what's more scary about her is let's just say even if Jason isn't physically deformed, he's over 6 feet tall. He's this lurking dude. She's an everyday sweet little old lady. She can sneak in and out of a crowd so easily. Jason's gonna stand out because of his size. She's the kind old lady with the dogs down the street. You know what I mean?
She gave Alice an instant sense of comfort and safety.
Exactly.
And that slowly, you can see it as she's talking when they're, when they come back in, as she's talking, and you can see it as you can see Alice beginning. She's starting to move around. She's starting to get creeped out.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they first walk in there, and I can't remember her name. Damn it, what is her? She's laying there and she's dead, and she was like, "Oh, so young, so innocent, such a shame." You know what I mean?
Was it Brenda? I think her name is something like that. She was the one that was killed on the archery range when she was thrown through the window.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen the first one. I remember most of the characters, but for some reason I always forget her name. But yeah, I think you might be right. I think it might be Brenda. If anyone remembers in the chat, let me know.
Yeah,
this might be an unpopular opinion, but I said this might be an unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, there are only 2 to 3 Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, it's Brenda.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 to 3 Friday the 13th movie. What do you mean by that, bud?
In my opinion, they stop at part 3 or part 2, just depending on how you look at it. Because after 3, Jason is no longer human.
He's human. He's human in 4.
Is he human in 4? I thought
he isn't technically, air quotes, killed until the final chapter. Then he is dead and buried.
Yeah, and in 3 is when he takes the hatchet to the head, and they think he's dead. Technically, he probably should be dead.
Right.
But yeah, in part 4, there's no disputing that fact. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that's the only reason why Savini said he would come back is if they definitely kill him off, and that's why with part 5 they had the copycat, and then it didn't do so well, so they brought him back. Kind of like the whole Halloween 3 thing.
Yeah. He wouldn't even do part 2. He went and did the burning instead because he said there is no Jason. Jason's dead. Jason's drowned. So he said he would never do another Friday the 13th until they said we're killing him off.
Well, same with Victor Miller. Victor Miller said he was dead.
Yeah.
In his script. But Cunningham, he realized how much money they made with how much little budget. So we got to do a second one.
Yeah. It's always about the money, man. It's always about the money.
Just out of curiosity, where do you guys stand on what's your guys' opinion on that court case between whose camp are you on between Victor Miller and Cunningham? I'm on the Victor Miller camp because Victor Miller created those characters in the first.
I've always been team Victor Miller because if it wasn't for Miller, there wouldn't have been a story written. Victor Miller, regardless
just-
whether he was, what do they call it, a writer for hire or whatever the legal term is, Victor Miller wrote the screenplay, he wrote the script, Cunningham worked with him, and if it wasn't, regardless, they changed Jason's name, they did this, they did that, regardless, Victor Miller wrote it. Now, Cunningham, you have made so much money off of this franchise.
Yeah.
Give the man what is due, shut the fuck up, close the case, get going.
He hasn't been paid since the first one, has he?
What's that?
He hasn't been paid since the first one, has he? Miller?
No. I don't know. He might have gotten a simple fee, but what Miller's looking for is like residuals.
Right.
Merchandising. There would be no Jason Voorhees if it wasn't for Victor Miller.
Right.
There really wouldn't be. There wouldn't be no Camp Crystal Lake. There wouldn't be no Friday the 13th, if you think about it. Sure, Cunningham directed it and he produced all the movies, but he didn't write it. And I think Victor deserves to get his financial situation settled. Cunningham, I don't know Cunningham's financial situation, but the guy's got money. He's still making money off of the franchise. Plus, he's still a big producer in other horror movies, Last House on the Left, all that shit. Give the man some cash, end it, and then see if you guys can work it out to see where to go for a new movie.
Yeah, because before Victor Miller, all he had was a title and a poster. You know what I mean? That's all Cunningham had.
And it wasn't even called Friday the 13th. It was like A Long Night at Camp Blood.
Yeah.
So, but last I knew, the lawsuit's over, and I think Miller won.
That's cool.
I don't know.
Get on to something.
I don't know money-wise what they're doing, but I think now Miller owns the rights to Pamela Vorhees. I think she owns the right to Camp Crystal Lake, and I think he owns the right to Friday the 13th. But he doesn't own the rights to Jason Voorhees. So if they make another movie, they're going to have to tiptoe around that.
Why don't they just work together? Why don't Cunningham just work with him? Why don't they just work together and come up with something really kick-ass? It'd be great for them two to get back together and make one now.
I guarantee you they could, but you know what? Maybe Victor is just like, you know what? You dragged this out for so long. He's probably took it as a slap in the face.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, the bridge burnt.
It was. What's your thoughts on it, Drake? Whose side are you on? Do you think Cunningham is Friday 13th man, or do you think Victor Miller is?
I don't really have an opinion about it. I didn't study it, so I don't know.
About the instance on her face when she's saying "kill her, mommy." Yeah. Like she should have switched on a dime. But says he owns the rights to the first movie, however, only in the U.S.
Interesting.
Then it goes to see what he actually owns, because like Camp Crystal Lake, the title, Mrs. Voorhees, and the thing is, if it's only in the U.S., I mean, that's where you're going to make your money, at least for this type of movie.
God, yeah. That's why bands and musicians, if they're popular and they're famous everywhere else, they know to really become famous, to really become stars, they got to get popular in the U.S. too. That's just the way it is with all forms of entertainment. You have to make it in America.
Yep.
You got to make it here. For some reason, all forms of entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So hopefully they can work something out, or Cunningham could see what, like I said, what he's got to tiptoe around. But I don't blame Victor Miller for being pissed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I really don't at all, especially after all this time.
Come on, man. Give me what I deserve. You ain't gave me shit in 40 years, motherfucker, and you've been making this money all this time.
Exactly.
Buying your houses, putting your kids through college, and here I am.
Yeah, and he's going, and they're going to the conventions together and this and that, and still it's, I don't know. Like I said, I don't blame Victor one bit.
Hell yeah. That's more than a slap in the face. That's a bend over with no fucking Vaseline.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Prism says, why not just call a Friday the 13th sequel something like Jason X? Then they can tiptoe around everything. Yeah. Who knows? It just comes down to greed and childishness and just, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's mine. That's mine.
Exactly. Right.
Any final thoughts you guys might have on it? Drake, you got any final thoughts on Pamela and that whole take?
No, not really.
Pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
How about you, Eric?
It's pretty much
with Pamela, like I said, like, is she cinema's greatest mother? I mean, it's all up into interpretation, but And I think a lot of people are going to say, if they're outside the horror community, probably no, because sadly, horror kind of gets stepped on and looked down upon. But even if you're not a horror fan, and you look at this character, she lost her son. Her son was everything. She doesn't want this to happen to anyone else. You like I said it before. It's a realistic take in this goofy fucking franchise. You know what I mean? If you're just going by her, she is such a great character, a great villain. Like I said, she believes what she's doing is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And the performance is just so good and chilling. I absolutely love this character. I mean, there's Mrs. There's Mother Bates, there's Margaret White, there's all these evil mothers. I think Pamela tops them all, in my opinion.
Man, that's a title all by itself, man. White. Oh my God, that right there is a show all by itself. Thank you. We need to get back together and talk about that one because she's a 2-hour conversation all by herself, man.
I'd
Tell
love
about
to.
a great performance.
I'd love
Tell
to.
about a great performance. We'll definitely make a plan for that. What are you saying, Drake?
I was just agreeing.
Oh, he loves Carrie, man. So he'd be all over that.
Let's do it to it, man.
All right, guys. Thank you. Go ahead.
I was just agreeing again.
Okay. Well, it makes it confusing because your audio is off your video. They're not coinciding. They're not getting along. But
it's like Victor Miller and Cunningham. The video and the audio.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this topic, man. Great show. Had a great time.
You too.
Hope everybody in the chat had a good time. I will see you Wednesday, Eric, over on American World in New Jersey as we do the original Evil Dead.
Absolutely.
And Drake, I will see you here real soon. We're always doing something when your work schedule is allowing it nowadays. But
right.
you guys have a good one. That is Hey Internet, Eric here. That's Drake Kane from Drake Kane's channel, and I am GoreAphobe saying I am GoreAphobe and you are not. Thank you.
Cheers.